The engineers who built this machine were given fake names. Not because it is illegal, but because officially it does not exist. Behind a sealed door in a lab in Shenzhen, China has quietly assembled a working extreme ultraviolet lithography machine, the one piece of technology the entire chip blockade was built to keep out of its hands. Reuters confirmed it, and it forces a question Washington spent 6 years insisting could never even come up. Did the sanctions just fail? I chased that single question through this whole story. And the honest answer is more uncomfortable than either Washington or Beijing wants to admit. Because the truth isn't that the sanctions failed, it's that they quietly changed what kind of war this is. Start with what China actually did, because it is genuinely historic. Reuters reported in December 2025 that a nationally coordinated team finished the prototype in early 2025. Over 100,000 parts. Engineers working under fake identities. An effort so large that insiders compare it to a Manhattan Project. For the first time, a machine built entirely outside the Western supply chain generated its own 13.5 nanometer light and aimed it at a wafer. On paper, that is the blockade breaking. If the goal was to make this machine impossible, the machine now exists. Case closed. So the sanctions failed, right? Not even close. Because building one prototype is easy. Building a factory is where nations actually win or lose. And this is where the story turns against the headline. China's light source today puts out somewhere between 100 and 150 watts. ASML runs near 600, with a 1,000-watt system already in early 2026 research. Dimmer light means every wafer sits under the beam longer. Longer exposure means fewer wafers per hour. Fewer wafers means a higher cost on every single chip. A prototype only has to work once. A factory has to work every second of every hour for years. That gap between once and always has swallowed entire national programs before. Remember, ASML itself needed roughly 12 years to walk from its first working EUV prototype to a commercial machine printing chips for TSMC. And ASML had no sanctions, no missing suppliers, and the entire Western toolchain standing behind it. China is starting that same 12-year walk with both hands tied. So, a machine existing and a machine mattering are two very different claims. Now some honesty, because this is where the hype and the reality separate. China's best published light source converts about 3.4% of its energy into usable EUV. Commercial systems reach 5.5. Independent forecasters put commercial-scale Chinese EUV somewhere between 2035 and 2040. Chinese insiders say 2030. Skeptics say decades. Those are claims, not facts, and you should hold them as claims. But underneath all of them sit two problems the sanctions are still quietly winning. And neither of them is the laser everybody obsesses over. The first is the mirrors. At 13.5 nanometers, glass is useless. It doesn't bend the light, it swallows it. So the beam has to bounce off a chain of mirrors, each polished smooth to less than the width of a single atom. For 30 years, exactly one company on Earth could do that, Germany's Zeiss. Not from one clever invention, but from 3 decades of polishing and measuring nobody else has matched. China handed the job to the Changchun Institute of Optics, which already builds world-class mirrors for space telescopes. Reports say they have integrated domestic optics into the prototype. But matching Zeiss on reflectivity and durability year after year inside a machine bombarded by hot tin plasma is a different universe of hard. And it may explain the single strangest detail in this whole story. China's prototype reportedly fills an entire factory floor, while an ASML scanner is about the size of a school bus. When your optics are less efficient and your light is dimmer, you compensate with sheer scale. If you cannot make it precise, you make it enormous. Then comes the problem no blockade even had to invent, because geology invented it for them. Helium. Every fab drinks it, for cooling, for leak detection, for jobs nothing else on the periodic table can do. And here, China is dangerously exposed. In 2025, it produced just 905 tons of helium and imported 4,913. That is 84% dependence on foreign supply, most of it from Qatar and Russia, both squeezed this year. And helium is uniquely unforgiving. Unlike oil, you cannot simply stockpile it. It ships as a cryogenic liquid, and if a shipment is delayed long enough, it slowly boils away into the atmosphere, and once it escapes, it is gone for good. You cannot build a strategic reserve of something that evaporates while it waits. So in July 2026, Beijing did something revealing. It banned helium exports outright, hoarding every molecule for its own fabs. Sit with that for a second. A country racing to build the most self-reliant machine on Earth, still at the mercy of a gas it barely produces. Everyone focused on ASML. The real battle was hidden in the supply chain all along. The blockade watched the laser. The vulnerability was in the plumbing. So it sounds like the sanctions are winning after all. Except that is wrong too, because there is one thing a blockade can never seize. You can block a machine at the border. You cannot block what is already inside someone's head. China did not just fund laboratories, it brought the knowledge home. Lin Nan ran light source work at ASML itself, trained under a physicist who later won a Nobel Prize, and returned to China in 2021 to lead the exact subsystem he once built for the other side. In 18 months, his team filed 8 patents on it, and Lin is only one front. A second team at the Harbin Institute of Technology under Zhao Yongpeng is chasing a completely different light source physics called laser-induced discharge plasma, an approach ASML itself tried and walked away from 20 years ago because it could not scale. China isn't betting on one path. It is running two at once, hedging the single hardest subsystem in the entire machine. That is not the behavior of a country improvising. It is the behavior of a country that already knows exactly where every landmine is buried because it hired the people who buried them. Sanctions can freeze hardware, they cannot unteach a person. And that is the one crack that never closes because it widens every time another engineer flies home. So did the sanctions fail? Here's the answer almost nobody noticed. Tactically, no. This machine still loses to ASML on every spec that matters, but it does not have to beat ASML. It only has to beat what China is forced to use today, quadruple patterning deep ultraviolet, where a wafer runs through the machine 4 separate times and yields collapse below 50%. Clear that low bar, and it is already a strategic win, even if China never catches the West. Strategically then, the sanctions did not build a wall. They started a stopwatch. They turned an impossible barrier into an expensive detour and handed China a map to the far end of it. And existentially, that reframes the entire contest. This was never really about whether China could make EUV light. It's about a clock. Can China's mobilized talent and bottomless funding close the optics gap, the scaling gap, and the helium gap before the West's lead in the very newest nodes stops deciding anything? The sanctions didn't fail. They bought time. The only question left is, which side spends that time more wisely? If this story gave you a new way to see China's EUV machine, subscribe now. Because we track the moves that don't make the headlines, the shifts that rewrite global power before the mainstream catches on. And here is where this goes next. The next battle isn't about lithography at all. It's about the materials that come after silicon. Because whoever controls what replaces the transistor controls the decade after this one. That is the story we tell next.